Good afternoon and welcome to SOS, Saving Our Sisters and Ourselves. I am Natasha Webb-Prather, the founder and CEO of Mosaic Masterpiece, and we are all here at the Black Feminist Symposium 2024. Welcome into the room. So today's discussion will be framed by using my personal narrative, so you'll learn a little bit more about who Natasha is. We're going to talk about the collective narrative of a few African American women whom you may have seen in headlines, but some you may not know. And then we're also going to center our discussion with some reflection questions, right? So I'm going to be asking you to individually think, to collectively think, and to participate. So don't make me look bad by not participating with me. People are watching, including my family. Just so that you will know, I am recording this for them because I am coming to you all from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So my family is not situated here physically to be present. And so we're recording, but at any point that doesn't feel good to us in this room, we can automatically stop it, all right? So I do want to give a trigger warning. We will be talking about some heavy things that will touch on some mental health concerns, diagnoses, as well as some loss and grief by way of personal self-harm, all right? So if those topics will not feel good to you to sit through, you go ahead and, not access this space at your leisure. If you need to relieve yourself or do whatever you need, sis, to do it during this time because we're here together. And I appreciate you all for choosing this session. There were so many qualified and amazing things on the schedule today, so thank you for choosing this one. So before we hop into this discussion, I want to dedicate this presentation. First and foremost, I want to dedicate this to the life and legacy of my beloved sorority sister, Saida Ola, who is now residing with the Omega chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, meaning she is no longer Earthside. But I honor her and I speak her name into this space. And this is to the lives and to the legacies of all my sisters who are figuring it out daily and fighting to see another day. All right? So, before we jump into anything else, we've been talking all morning and all afternoon about what is sisterhood. And so I want you to just take a moment to individually reflect in your mind about what and how do you define sisterhood? What does it mean to you? Has your definition of sisterhood even changed as a result of today's discussion? Especially even our keynote over lunch talking about what sisterhood is. And Charmaine kicking us off this morning talking about sisterhood as a verb. Have you reimagined what sisterhood could be? When you hear the word sister, what comes to mind? Who's the first person that you think of when you hear that word sister? All right? So take a moment, go ahead and think about that, and then I may ask you all to share out at your comfort level. Welcome on in, grab a seat. We are just kicking off our individual and personal reflections. We're going to just kind of move these questions over in the back of our minds to say, what is sisterhood? Anybody ready to share out? All right here.
Someone who's there for you.
Yeah. Someone who's there. Of course.
Someone who's there to judge you.
Come on, Planet Fitness, no judgment zone. All right. Anybody else? Yeah.
I think for me to call someone else a sister, I have to feel like I can trust them with like anything I say. I'm not gonna be judged, and I know like they're there for me.
Okay, I'm hearing themes of trust and no judgment. I heard someone from the audience say community is what you feel when you hear the word sister or sisterhood.
I want to add a space of honesty. You can be honest with each other.
Come on, a space of honesty, because if I can't be honest with the truth and trust that you won't share it out or that you will judge me, is that really a sisterhood right here?
Yeah, also understanding.
Yeah, understanding, seeing me, right? seeing me beyond what I may even be calling out for myself, seeing me even beyond what may be the reality of today, and seeing me for who I am, right here again.
A sister can also be like, so not even just biological, but something that you choose, like your
Yeah.
chosen family.
Yes. As a Delta, I actually have well, it kind of was chosen, but not chosen at the same time. In terms of my line sisters, but it was chosen that I chose and sought out Delta. There are so many women in my community who I have chosen to be linked with. Shout out to Lauren. You know, like who are my chosen people. All right, last one.
Reliability.
Ooh, reliability. And I think that undergirds and helps develop our sense of trust. That reliance of being like, she got my back, I got hers, and like if we going, they're gonna be 10 toes down with it if it get dirty. Okay. All right. So thank you for sharing that. I resonate so much with what you have called out in terms of what is sisterhood. And I want you to remember that definition. And even if you did not share out, I want you to keep in mind maybe people who exhibit or are examples of sisterhood to you as we kind of frame the rest of our discussion today. So, who is Natasha? The presenter here in front of you. I am a number of things. I have a number of titles. I'm an audacious advocate. I'm a lasting legacy, a mosaic masterpiece, and a bipolar baddie. Let me break it down for you. Okay, an audacious advocate. So I am born and raised East Cleveland, Ohio, baby. Got it out the trenches in the mud. If you don't know, look it up in terms of East Cleveland. Yeah, period. All right, been fighting for who you see today all my life. And I thank so many women, including my mother and all my moms. You know, shout out to my high school mom, who was a little short, less than 5 foot tall white lady who also set me on the path and changed the trajectory of my life, and is why I am a lawyer today. So yes, I have been in the pursuit of justice literally since I could really formulate real thoughts and ideas. Because baby, if you did me wrong or did my friends wrong, it was going down. I didn't care if you were my peer, if you were my superior. Right is right. I also am a Libra rising, so it's in me, okay? From so I went to Syracuse University for undergrad, and then I did Teach for America, so I taught 8th grade special education for 2 years. And then I went back to law school because, darn it, I needed some letters after my name to make you listen to me. Because somehow JD was supposed to do something. And then I passed the bar, so then you put ESQ after it. But those are just letters, right? It's not really who I am. Because more than that, I am a lasting legacy. I am Natasha Janice Webb-Prather. I carry the name of my maternal grandmother, whom I never got to experience earthly. However, I know biologically she carried me in her womb. Because if you did not know, when you are born, you are, as individuals who are born female with female reproductive systems, you are born with every egg that you will ever have for the rest of your life. Meaning that your grandmother holding your mother held you. Okay? So that generation thing. So I never got to experience Janice Astor Holland, but I lived with her during the months in which my mom was in her womb. And I also carry the servanthood and legacy of Willa Pearl Jones, who was my great-grandmother, who was my maternal grandmother's mother, whom helped raise me as my mother sought out the nurturing of me during my formative years as a single parent, and who taught me about servant leadership as she volunteered every week at the Ronald McDonald House in Cleveland, which I do now in Atlanta, Georgia, in her honor. I am also the daughter of Nathaniel Prather, my father, who named me Natasha because my mother thought I was a boy because I would not cooperate with the ultrasounds. So when I was born a female, my father named me after the lineage because I am Nat's granddaughter, Nat Prather. So I carry that in the T. Also, you see depicted I am in the arms of William Jones, who was my papa, who was not biologically related to me, but birth and blood don't matter. my brothers and sisters. I am the eldest of 4 of my father's children. I'm my mother's only child. So yes, I both act like an only and the eldest. Put it together, I'm a lot to manage. So yes, I carry all of them with me as I pursue who I am today and who I will become and who I have been as a lasting legacy to honor them and then being still here, whether they're present or not. I'm a mosaic masterpiece. We'll hear about that a little bit later. But I will say that I am standing here reclaiming the things that could have broken me and making something beautiful out of these kind of broken and shattered pieces. It also is the name of my organization. Feel free to follow me on the socials and things of that nature. The bipolar baddie. Yes, I stand before you as someone who in September of 2022, after being here at the University of Cincinnati as the assistant dean of students over at the law school, when I started in September 2021, at a year almost to the date of me being here in Cincinnati, which was a new space for me. Though living in Cleveland, never had stepped footed in Cincinnati. I didn't know what y'all were doing down here. And so my world turned upside down. I had been hospitalized twice in a psych ward. And now this is coming from being a young lady who was always high functioning, always high achieving. I was valedictorian, baby. I spoke at my college commencement as a college marshal. I carried the flag of the College of Arts and Sciences. I knew achievement. I knew pressing through. I had gone to the University of Georgia for law school and graduated in the top of my class, being a leader. I had assumed guardianship of my Nana, my beloved Nana that you see here with my siblings, who had suffered from Alzheimer's and was figuring out a way to balance my life, traveling all around Georgia, handling Title IX investigations, and still finding a way to honor her. So I knew what pushing through and finding out a way was. And so when I could no longer do it while I was here, and I was riddled with imposter syndrome as I assumed this role of assistant dean, and now you put me in a psych ward and you're telling me that I have lost my mind, I've had a mental breakdown, I now am bipolar, and you're labeling me and medicating me heavily. Whoa, what is happening? I was drowning, okay? And at the same time, that backdrop of what was honestly despair and upheaval was this juxtaposition of joy. Because Cincinnati represented my becoming. And it was the first time that I chose to be openly, come on in, y'all. Those are my law school babies. That I chose to be my authentic self, in the sense that I started to introduce myself as the queer woman that I am, right? And so I was really living this double life, because my family up in Cleveland and my chosen family in Atlanta had no clue about this, but I was living out loud. I had met and collided with destiny with a beautiful woman here who felt like God's love manifest in the earth. And baby, you couldn't tell me nothing about that. And so I had experienced both joy and like really much despair. And so I was turned upside down. And I've been trying to put back the pieces of who I am. And we're going to talk about how sisterhood saved me, because that is why I want to tell my story and the story of others. And so that's a little bit about me. So let me tell you about other women, because my thing is, America has a problem, shout out to Beyonce, but specifically, higher education has a problem. As a microcosm of the greater world, we are seeing something that needs to, the alarm is ringing, okay? Can you hear it? So you may have seen Dr. Candia Bailey, who in January of this year was the former vice president of student affairs over at Lincoln University, an HBCU, who died by suicide after enduring what she personally had described as incessant harassment and bullying that was intentionally done at the hands of a white man who was acting as president at the time, who, let's call a spade, was the former athletic director, probably was not even qualified for the role. Yet here it was this woman who with decades of experience in higher education as his subordinate in the hierarchy of the organization was being bullied. Her cries out for help to amplify the fact that she had mental health concerns in the space of anxiety and depression, requesting FMLA leave denied at the hands of him, and ultimately was terminated from her position. And just 5 days later, she decides to end her life because the love of her life, what she labeled, well, what she called was student affairs, had killed her. Okay. Then we have the story of Dr. Claudine Gay, who we still have here earthside. But what has happened to her reputation and potential legacy? For those who may or may not know, she was a former president of Harvard University, who was the first African American, period, not even just woman in the institution's history to hold that role of president, and ultimately stepped down with now being labeled as the shortest tenure of any institutional president. And we asked why. So there were allegations of her kind of lackluster response to the attacks in Israel. And one could argue whether or not her response was enough, but what really is enough when you are a Black woman at the head of something? Now, I will acknowledge that there were calls for other white women who were presidents of institutions such as Penn, and MIT's presidents were also called to resign. MIT's president decided to stay, but Penn State University decided to also resign. So for the sake of being equitable, let's just say that the attacks on that response to her, to the anti-Semitism was across the board and wasn't because she was a Black woman. But see, the difference with her and the other white women in this space was that they went even further in their attacks on her to say that she was she plagiarized. Here it was, this tenured faculty member with the prestigious track record to even become president of Harvard. Now you coming at me saying that my work isn't my own? Okay, now you're getting personal. Now you are getting racial, and these critiques are unique. And let's contextualize her stepping into power at Harvard, right? She's coming into Harvard right after the Supreme Court has decided that race-conscious admissions are against the Constitution at Harvard and which also applies to other institutions. So now you have high-powered, red-white alumni who have put a target on her back from the very start to say, Dr. Gay, despite whatever is your pedigree, despite your past history and your experience, you really just checking a diversity box. You don't actually belong here. Okay? Then we have the story of Joan Epps. Now, back in September of 2023, she was the then acting president and former dean of Temple's Law School. Joan Epps suddenly fell ill on stage at a ceremony honoring another individual. And she fell ill. They carried her away off stage. And she ultimately died later at the hospital, or was pronounced at the hospital. And let's talk about her story. Because the thing is, they carried her off stage, and maybe they kept going, whatever was happening that day. This woman died, right? And the next day, the board of trustees and the university were planning for how they were going to move forward, aka her replacement. I want to have you take a guess. How long has she been working at that institution? Just throw out some numbers. Over 20. Thank you. She had been there for 40 years, 4 decades of her life, starting out at the bookstore, and had worked her way up to be the dean of the law school and then acting president. And you mean to tell me you can't even take a moment to pause when I literally fall over on this stage? You can't take more than a day for my 40 years to find my replacement? But these places want us to kill ourselves, literally, for them. When they literally do not take a breath when we've lost ours. And I'm going to round this out with telling the story also of Attorney Lewis. So Attorney Brown C. Lewis was the former dean of North Carolina Central University Law School. And in June 2022, she was attending the Law School Admission Council's conference, which is a professional conference for those in the law school space. Here she was, and she suddenly dies while attending this conference. Now, reports don't ever exactly say why she dies. The latest report that came out maybe a month or two after her death said that she died of natural causes, right? But at the ripe age of 60, with so much vision for what she wanted for that law school, what was natural about her death? You know, one could question what was going on naturally in her body as a result of where she was. And let's think about all the things that Black women are riddled with in our health. Is it really natural for us to have this high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, heart disease, and things else, and then adding in layers and layers of stress and pressure? This is not natural. America, higher education, we have a problem. So, take a moment to sit with. I want to know any initial thoughts, whether these stories were previously known to you, whether you were hearing them for the first time. Because we speak these women's names in this room. They're not here with us physically, but they may be here spiritually. And they matter. Their lives matter. Their impact matter. You all matter. What is this evoking in you as you hear their stories?
Anger.
Anger.
Not surprising.
Whew, not surprising. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Unnecessary.
Preventable.
Preventable. I would say unexcusable. Not on my watch.
No.
It ends now. Anything else?
Changes need to be done.
Yes. Change is needed. Change is needed. So here we have this clip from the University of South Carolina women's basketball team playing the women's basketball team from Ole Miss. And I argue that in this 30-second clip, they are the example of what sisterhood can be as a solution to this problem that we have here in our education, if we choose to engage in it and to lean into it. Do you see what happens here? Yes. Here it is. These Black women are playing basketball, and this is the first quarter. Like, score 5-3, and baby girl's wig comes off. And look at this.
Yeah.
What do you see happening here?
They're all trying to help her.
Yeah.
Covering her.
Covering.
It doesn't matter what team they're on.
So here we have literally competitors on opposite sides of the V in competition to win. South Carolina basketball, women basketball team don't play, okay? Now, in this very moment, when we think of this competition, it could be cutthroat. I want my team to win. But in this very moment, these women said none of that matters. Our colors of our uniform, the team we play for doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we are nothing but Black women. And my darling, my God, I am not about to let another Black woman be out here looking down. Because think about it, how embarrassing. Who knows what's underneath that wig? Okay, whether it be gray, freshly done, or bad. But that's just embarrassing, right? Because that isn't even your hair on top of your head, but you're walking around like it is. Shout out to my sisters with the wig. Like, no one wants that to happen. And they instinctively came and circled her, right? To protect the literal vultures of the cameras. That zoomed in and said, oh, what's happening? It doesn't matter. Why couldn't you change the camera or turn away? Look at the crowd.
Yeah.
You don't think that was embarrassing for that young lady?
Yeah.
But you don't care because you just want to consume us. But these young ladies literally said, not on my watch. They came together, allowed her to fix her crown and to come back out, and then it was back on, baby, because I still want to win.
Yeah.
But in that moment, let me pause and be a sister. And you see, if you watch a longer clip, the coach from USC goes over and is questioning, like, what's going on? And then you see somebody tell her, oh, the girl weak. She was like, oh, okay. I get it, okay? And my thing is, my argument here is that if we choose to be sisters and you create here a circle, but I'm gonna leverage or advance the idea of a sister sphere, that you could be unstoppable, that we as a collective could be impenetrable, that we could save ourselves and our sisters if we just chose to lean into and to be a sister, and to call out for our sisters, right? Our keynote talked about, I'm not my sister's keeper, I am my sister. In college, I learned about the principle of Ubuntu. Has anybody heard of that? All right, it's an African concept that I am because we are. The individual does not exist or persist unless we are a collective. All right? Now, that's my argument. Because the thing is, sisterhood saved me. Remind you, when I just laid out my story of being this bipolar baddie. I'm only a bipolar baddie right now because I was down bad with bipolar when I was here back in September, throughout my tenure. I was here from September 2021 to literally March 3rd of 2023. My last day on campus was this very day at this very conference last year. And this cyclical moment for me getting to come here, shine like I am. When I left here on March 3rd, 2023, with my head down, with my tail between my legs, feeling real disappointed and like a failure because I left these babies here earlier than I wanted them to be. I didn't stay as long as I desired. You know, if you want to have some ritual in here, we can call the ancestors. It didn't look like or feel like with the words that have been spoken over me through God, through Miss Geneva, it didn't look like it. And I left here questioning so many things. It was a rainy day. I had my umbrella. It rained a lot. And you know what? It rained a little bit today, but that's how my Nana talks to me. It's the rain. And so it rained that day, and I cried tears of despair and questioning. But today I'm going to dance in the rain as I am back here and getting to stand here and say that my sisters saved me from drowning. And the sphere is this 3D circle. Because, you know, a circle may seem 2D. But see, the thing is, it was intergenerational. And I don't know if you sat in on the UC Black Women on the Move conversation about intergenerational sisterhood. But see, at the AACRC, they had an event early on in that fall semester where I got to meet Miss Geneva. And I asked her to pray for me because, baby, I was already down bad. And this was at the very beginning of me starting. And she prayed a word over me that was a covering. And I met her from my generation up, right, who lifted me. Also, Verna Williams, who was the then dean of the law school, saw me and said, oh, wait, no, sis, you belong here. I chose you for a reason. And see, then I also met Brianna, who is over at the business school, who transferred from Kennesaw State. So we both came from Atlanta back to Cincinnati. We're both from Cleveland. And I needed her, just how I needed Allie and Justine, to give me a reason to say, baby, you are here in the earth for a reason to pour in as well. And then I had to circle wide to find the sisters to link and interlink with me. Yeah, I had line sisters. Yeah, I had friends and community. But in terms of people right here in the city of Cincinnati, I needed Mercedes. I needed Jackie. I needed Brittany. I needed Ashley. I needed Toya. I needed Kersha. I needed Jay. I needed Lauren, who were here, who literally was like, sis, stand up. We got you. You're not going to drown in here. And they chose to dance with me in the dark, to remind me of who I was, to speak to me when I couldn't even speak to myself. to remind me of all the things that I was, beyond just the titles that I held. And they allowed me to become undone, to be honest, to bear it all, to literally be crazy and lose my mind, just enough to find myself. They allowed me to fix my crown before I had to go back into public and to stand up and straighten my shoulders and ground my feet. And they've been doing that even over this year as I went back to Atlanta to pick myself back up. And so I get to stand here today on March 1st, 2024, looking like a complete 180 of myself. So much so that people are literally saying, I don't recognize you. Yeah, because a lot has changed in a year. Because the thing is, you feed me to the wolves, baby. You think it's my demise. I'm going to come back leading the pack. Don't play with me. My sisters or my God. Okay? So, now, that's my story. I don't know if y'all have this story. Because let's talk about it in a group setting. Now we're going to group reflect here. Because I've been doing a lot of talking. And in the 20 minutes or so that we have left in session, because we do have to end on time, even if we didn't start on time. I want to call a spade, right? Because it feels real warm and fuzzy to be in this affirming space of the Black Feminist Symposium. However, we all know that saying that not all skin folk are kinfolk. And not every girl is your sister. So let's talk about it. What do you feel like are the obstacles to sisterhood? What do you feel like are the behaviors of people that stand in the way of you being able to call somebody a sister? I want you to talk collectively amongst the people around you. What stands in the way of people being a sister? What are the challenges? What behaviors do they engage in? Are like, nah, you're not my sister.
People simulate competition.
Yeah. Let's come on back. So I passed out some Post-its. You may or may not have used them in your group. If you did, that's great. If you didn't, that's also great. There's space for us all. But I'm interested. Let's kind of take about 3 minutes to share out. Anybody want to share kind of what was coming up as maybe some central themes that were obstacles, whether that be one word or kind of one or phrase to kind of wrap it up with their group. All right, right here. Trauma. Okay, can you write that on the Post-it note? All right, put it there. So on that side. All right, somebody from this side. Any obstacles? Yes. All right, put it on the pink Post-it. The pink one in the big. All right, Paris. Comparison. Yeah, that came up in here too. Did you write that on the Post-it note? Okay, comparison. Over here.
I said like not being each other's kids, like somebody's daughter.
Ooh.
Like Princess said, like it's a jealousy aspect. To
Okay.
Like, if I'm seeing people like you want to see the love these people or like competition.
All right, so I'm hearing jealousy. Let's put that on a Post-it note. I'm also hearing lack of humanity, or like a lack of viewing of humanity. Here.
Humiliation.
Okay, let's put these things on Post-it notes and put them on the. Either if you're on that side, use the blue. If you're on this side, use the pink. Okay. Put them on the pink. Any notes you have, put it on that side or whatever. All right. Anyone else want to share out anything that came up that either Allie?
Lack of support.
Okay, lack of support. Because when we talked about at the beginning what was sisterhood, we said support was. So then when you don't exhibit qualities that I think my sister should, you not my sister. You not, nah.
But what if they're making it appear that they're saying they're the sister, and people think they're the sister, but they actually aren't the sister?
What? That will happen. You know, my thing is I'm a Cancer. I'm naturally intuitive. I observe people all the time, baby, and I'm gonna see through it. You can tell me, you can talk real nice, slick stuff, but my discernment is real good. My spirit guides don't play about me. Neither do my elders and my ancestors. And so if I peep game, I can play the game and placate you, but you won't get the depths of my truth and my transparency because you're not a safe place for my truth to land.
You're setting those boundaries.
Oh yes. Because my thing is, see, you gotta keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So my thing is, if I see the snake in your eyes, oh baby, you gonna think we best of friends. Because I'm gonna need you to either unassume what I may be capable of, or I need to know how you moving. And if I play up your ego, make you think you the big bad stuff, and that like I want to be like you, baby, you might not come at me and attack me. But if you try it, you gonna try to find out. Okay, so thank you. We are going to transition to our final group reflection. So we talked about the obstacles, what stands in the way. But let's talk about how do we overcome these obstacles? How do we get over the comparison? How do we get over the jealousy? How do we get over the lack of support? What is it? How can we overcome them? And then how can you, as an individual, commit to doing what you commit to doing to be a better sister to someone else? What do we come up with, Les? And gentlemen. Oh, gentlemen, just still a job. All right here.
Checking your ego at the door.
Check it. You got it on the post-it note? Check it. And put it on the goal. Put it on the goal. All right here.
I said empathy and honesty because sometimes we are humans. We don't know what we're about to go over our sister, and you're talking to them about that and being empathetic, like we all make mistakes. But also, I feel like sometimes with sisters, even a freshman, and other freshmen, like underclassmen, I feel like sometimes it's like they make them go through that pain and be like, okay, lady, oh, you're gonna regret it. No, growth is not linear, but
It is not.
intentionally letting somebody go through pain just so they can understand it is worth it.
Listen, all right, so you said a lot. Let's unpack the levels of that. First and foremost, we all need grace. Okay? We all have fallen short of a lot of things, and we need to be understanding. Not everyone is going to be perfect. Also, this idea of like struggle, like to learn is like, okay guys, I get it. Like, yes, we all have lessons to learn. We need to go through certain things. And some people do need to experience certain things and you allow them. But also let's love and learn. Like, how can we learn and love? Because this idea that I gotta also get it out the mud because you got it out the mud, like, we had generations of progress to us not to have this example. Like, this is reality. All right, this side of the room again, Lauren.
Well, it's like, so, kind of in response to what you just said, it's kind of like where the keynote was saying, like, normalize like, something about, like, pain and whatnot of Black women. And for me, like, yes, and how about we acknowledge it and stop causing it?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, let's believe people in their truths, right? Like, yes, that does exist, but I also don't want to just be like, yeah, like, y'all just suffer, that's what you do.
Right.
So I think it's a slippery slope if we just continue to say, like, oh, it's okay, that's just what happened.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take my justice here in my community.
Yeah, it's important not to repeat history. Colorism is still a problem. Yeah.
What did she say? Not to repeat history, because colorism is a problem. All right. Did you have an idea?
Oh yeah, we also set like transparency, like in self-awareness and being able to hear other people's stories without being dismissive and without like the judgment and like blaming people for what happened to them, like with sexual violence. Like listen and don't ask questions and like, be supportive. Like don't say it's your fault if you didn't put yourself in the situation. This wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
No, that's not sisterhood at all.
Okay, so I'm hearing listening. I'm hearing lots of things that are not on the post-it board. What happened to the participation? Are you putting it on the post-it on the board? I need to later. All right, in the day. Nope, it's not blue. Those are obstacles. Oh, where is it going? It's going up here on the silver.
Oh.
Yeah, gold and silver are nuggets that we'll take with us, right? We love adorning gold and silver, so those are things that we're going to take with us.
Going along that line with listening, having a care team around you to really cultivate self-awareness, so I can build up the skills to be empathetic, to be a good listener. because I'm being a good listener to myself. So that type of gentleness that the world does not afford us. In a lot of spaces, we are creating space for ourselves by loving ourselves so we can love each other more. Because otherwise, I'm gonna be triggered by something. The way you blinked your eyes, the way you moved your lips, and then the way you standed. And then I can't do the act. I can't help you. I'm gonna act like I'm helping. But tell me more. Do you know what she said?
Yeah.
She said, no. She messed. And so that's where I can't hold you. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap it up here because I'm almost out of time, and I want to leave you with this. So, you've been seeing butterflies. You see it in my hair. You see it. I'm adorning it. You will get a handout with a butterfly once I pass it out. But as a former teacher, I know to not give you anything I don't want you to look at beforehand. Because all you will do is look at the paper. And we weren't ready for that. Because we have some takeaways. We've got some affirmation cards up here, the worksheet, as well as ways to stay connected with me. So I started out letting you know that I was a mosaic masterpiece and that I am a mosaic masterpiece. And the symbol that we have as an organization is the butterfly. And so you've seen it in the presentation, and you're going to see it in your takeaway. And I charge you all with being a magical monarch, if you've ever heard of monarch butterflies, to not only be a magical monarch, but also to be miraculous milkweed and to find and form your kindred kaleidoscope.
Wow.
All right. Yes.
Ashe.
Ashe. But let me tell you what that means for those of you who may not understand the evolution and the story of a butterfly. Why, bless you, why a monarch? Monarchs are both soft and gentle, but they are also strong and resilient because they have to make a long journey over generations. So sit with that. In March, where we are today, March 1st, monarchs begin their journey from Mexico up north to the northern U.S. and to Canada. The migrating females are literally in a race against time because they will only survive a few more weeks, and they have to journey as long as they can to lay as many eggs as they can so that the next generation could go and grow up to go further and further, because it takes ultimately 3 to 4 generations of monarch butterflies to make it from Mexico to northern Canada. Okay? Now, as they reproduce, so magic, there's a level of magic and resiliency in being both soft and gentle, yet strong and resilient. There is magic that flows through the DNA to say, there are generations of me that are journeying, and each generation goes a little further and further than the ones before, as what progress and privilege has afforded us to be not only our mother's daughter, but our grandmother's granddaughter and great-grandmother's grandkids. You and your life was bought at a very precious price. Don't forget it and don't waste it. Now, milkweed is miraculous in the sense that milkweed is the only kind of plant in which a monarch will lay its eggs. And remember that a monarch and his next generation are tied to literally reproduction. So they can only lay eggs on milkweeds. And a monarch will only lay, while she may lay hundreds of eggs at one iteration, she only lays 1 egg to 1 milkweed. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. All right? So it is miraculous even for these generations to exist in their number. And as we think about what's happening with global warming, when we think about what's happening as structures keep going up and taking down our trees and our parks, we see a decrease in the butterflies because we see a decrease in the milkweed. And it is literally the only one. And so the ratio is 1-to-1 because the monarch knows that the baby caterpillar, who she is at her youth before she becomes a butterfly, needs enough sustenance and vegetation to make the journey to evolve. So it's 1-to-1. Now, the kaleidoscope. Butterflies don't move in flocks like birds. However, when they make their return flight back from north going down south, if they are going to roost, meaning that they are going to rest for more than a few minutes, because most butterflies don't stay in one place for too long. You see them touch down and they leave. But if the monarch, on that long journey back, where they came from, plans to rest for more than a few minutes, especially at night, they do so in what a group, which is called a kaleidoscope. They have other words, but I've chose kaleidoscope for this space. And so my takeaway to you all is that no one can make this journey in life alone. You need people from so despite your personal strength and resilience, sis, you can't do it alone, all right? You've got your ancestors' blood and DNA flowing through you that gives you who you are today. And you've even got your family that you were birthed into who may be with you today. But I endeavor that in addition to them, you need some chosen family, some kindred spirits, and some sisters who understand where you're at, what you're going through, who can be your soft space to land, literally who can encourage you and give you nourishment in your time of need to help you journey on. All right? And so, please be a magical monarch and miraculous milkweed and form your kindred kaleidoscope so that you can swarm. And swarm will be the next session.
Yay!